Good morning, children. This lesson is for class 6 for the subject of biology, chapter number 2, the flower, from your textbook, Concise Biology, Selena Publications. It is being submitted to you on 10th of May 2021. Today, we are going to learn about the most attractive and colorful part of the flowering plants, that is, the flower. Flowers make our surrounding environment very pleasant. But for the plant, flower is its most important part through which it reproduces by sexual reproduction. Flowers vary greatly in shape, size, and color, while plants such as grasses have dull, tiny flowers. Those of rose, dahlia, orchid, and so on are known for their bright colors and beautiful formation. Flower is the reproductive organ of all seed-bearing plants. The function of the flower is to produce seeds that can germinate and develop into new plants. Flowers are generally attached with the stem through a stalk or a pedicel. Some flowers do not bear a pedicel and are called sessile flowers. The tip of the pedicel is swollen and is called thalamus or receptacle. It is from the thalamus from where the petals and other whorls of the flower arise. A flower usually has four parts: calyx, which consist of sepals; corolla, which consist of petals; androecium, which is the male reproductive part; and gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part. The four parts are arranged in four whorls. The four whorls arise from the tip of the pedicel, which is called receptacle or thalamus. The first whorl of the flower is calyx. Calyx is the outermost whorl of a flower consisting of sepals. Sepals are green, leaf-like structures. Sepals enclose and protects the inner parts of a flower in its bud stage. Corolla forms the second whorl next to calyx and consists of petals. Petals are usually colorful, sometimes white, but never green. Corolla protects the reproductive parts of the flower. Also, they attract insects for pollination because they are brightly colored. Now, the third whorl of the flower is androecium, which is the male reproductive part of the flower. The male reproductive unit is called stamen, which has further two parts: a long, thin, and narrow filament, and small, two-lobed structure called anther. Anther consists of fine particles called pollen grains. Yellow powdery pollen grains produce male gametes or male cells for fertilization. Now, the innermost whorl of the flower is gynoecium, which is the female reproductive part, and it is formed of pistil or carpel. The pistil has further three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma is situated at the top of style. It is sticky to trap pollen grains brought by pollination. Style is a long, narrow, tube-like extension of the ovary. Through style, pollen tube grows towards ovary. Ovary is situated at the base of carpel and contains small, rounded, egg-like ovules. Ovules contain female reproductive cells. And children, after pollination, the ovary becomes the fruit and the ovules become seeds. Now, children, the complete flower and the incomplete flower. The difference between them is the flowers having all the four whorls are known as complete flowers. For example, pea, mustard, hibiscus, and sunflower. Whereas flowers which lack one or more whorls are known as incomplete flowers. Example, mulberry, date palm. Now another term, unisexual flower. Some plants have flowers that have only male reproductive parts or female reproductive parts. Such flowers are called unisexual flowers. Example, papaya. Bisexual flower. Some plants have flowers that have both the male and female reproductive parts on the same flower. These flowers are called bisexual flowers. Example, hibiscus. Now let's see the functions of flower. The main function is to bring about reproduction by producing seeds and fruits for the multiplication of the species. Reproduction is completed in two steps: pollination and fertilization. Flowers are used for decoration at various places and in various ways. The ovary of flower develops into fruit and its ovules form seeds. Flowers are also used for worship and making garlands. Now, children, let us understand the term pollination. For seed formation, the pollen grains produced in the anther must be transferred to the stigma of the pistil. Therefore, the transfer of the pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same or another flower is called pollination. Now, this transfer of pollen grains, it takes place in two ways: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination means when the pollen grains are transferred from the anthers to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. Whereas when the pollen grains are transferred from the anthers of a flower to the stigma of a flower of another plant of the same type, it is called cross-pollination. Now, since plants cannot move from one place to another, they need help of other organisms or natural elements to transfer pollen grains. These agents of pollination can be wind, water, insects, and birds. With this, I'm ending up today's interactive session. Thank you, children.